Hey, everybody, it's your boy John, and today's episode is going to be about Disney and Fox. We're going to be talking about how Disney acquired Fox and all the related content, as well as the different movies, all that fun stuff. So stay tuned. Hey, everybody, this is your boy John, and with me, as always, is Matt.
What's up?
So, guys, like I just said previously, we were talking about Disney and Fox, right? So, granted, this was a few years, actually, this has got to be more than 10 years ago now at this point, because I can't remember exactly when this happened. But basically, when Disney acquired...
2019.
Was it only 2019?
Yeah.
I thought it was earlier than that.
That's when they closed on it.
Oh, okay. Well, they started a long time ago.
March 20th, 2019.
Is when they closed on it, but when did they actually start?
I don't know when they started it.
I know they started it a long time ago. It was a while. I know this deal was like in the works for a while. But anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is, so they closed on it in 2019.
It says they announced it on 2017.
Really? I thought it was earlier than that.
It was initiated December 14th, 2017, and they closed it
honestly
on March 20th.
I thought it was like in 2013, 14, but okay, maybe I was off. But okay. Either way, look, the point is, granted, it's been a few years, we clearly know the content of what Disney was trying to acquire at the time. I mean, I can tell you my first initial thoughts was you look at how Disney was trying to really kind of build that Marvel empire, right? Because a lot of, rights that they didn't have, Fox owned at the time. I'm not saying that was the main reason, but they did want to, kind of acquire more, networks and different things of that nature. But of course, like when Matt and I are talking, we're going to be talking about all of what they acquired and whatnot. But
right.
Really, I know that initially I thought a majority of it really was to get a lot of the Marvel licenses for the characters for, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Galactus, Doctor Doom, like all these characters that really inquire like so much because, of course, we don't want to talk about it, but of course, Fox wants to, forget about their past regarding, X-Men and Fantastic Four and stuff. And so I'm glad that Disney's finally taken this approach, down the road, probably, I'd say in the next couple years, 2, 3, maybe, who knows? I mean, depending on how long the timeline is going to be. But I mean, we've already talked about how they're starting to introduce like new shows and like some of the movies that are coming out with it. So, without them buying this though, I mean, we couldn't have, the X-Men that we're hopefully going to be getting, Fantastic Four. We're not going to be like, we couldn't have Doctor Doom, right? We couldn't have Galactus. We couldn't have Silver Surfer. We couldn't have all these, kind of main kind of characters inside the Marvel universe, without having to have, that capabilities. But anyways, I kind of divulge a little bit about it, but like to me, I found probably the most interesting so far is, I know I'm going to be kind of jumping around here, Matt, but you and I just talked about this. I didn't realize that at the time that when they bought, Fox, they actually started to, I guess, acquire Kingdom Hearts, which Kingdom Hearts, if you haven't played it, I know Matt's kind of jumped a little bit on it, but I've played it. I haven't beaten them all because there's a lot. I mean, even the first game, I kid you not, Matt, it is extremely tough. I am still on it, and I still haven't gotten back to it, but I'll tell you, it's hard. It's not an easy game. It's not something that, you got to have a lot of patience for, my friend. And there's a lot of bosses, a lot of different things, but it's interesting only because, like, you see basically all these Disney characters and how you get to go in the different worlds and do all these different things. But it's one of the, so Sora is the main character, but like it's just an interesting kind of series because also like Final Fantasy characters, show up as well. Right. And they, all these different things, but like Kingdom Hearts was just a game that, as a kid, you're like, oh, this is great. This is amazing. And then they made Kingdom Hearts 3, of course, later on in time, of course, they made Kingdom Hearts 2, but like, I'd be curious if they make another one down the road. But my thing is, I didn't realize that Fox owned the rights to this game because I just thought, because we talked about it, Square Enix at the time created the game, and I didn't realize, that was owned by Fox. You know what I mean? Because like that just seems weird to me. I didn't realize Fox was like somehow, connected to the game. So I don't know. I honestly did not realize that. And it threw me off guard because I really just thought it was just solely a production, through Square Enix, not anything else.
I mean, it's unusual. And I think, a lot for Disney. I mean, obviously Fantastic Four and X-Men are a big drive for them to, pursue this acquisition. But I think more so for Disney, the acquisition wasn't just for, obviously these two franchises. Like,
no,
they also got from Fox, like, a lot of their television networks, like FX and National Geographic, and
big one was National Geographic. I mean, Fox, that kind of helped drive, some of the movies and TV shows,
and they got another 30% from Fox for Hulu. So now, like, Disney owns 60% of the shares of Hulu, which gives them like the majority controlling share of Hulu.
Right. I mean, realistically, if Disney ever wanted to get rid of Hulu, they could. I mean, is it a wise decision right now? Probably not, because I mean, there's still people that would watch, especially because of that bundle deal. Like when they came out with the whole Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN package, like people were like, yeah, $15 for all that. Sold. You know what I mean? Like, because if you looked at Netflix, the one thing I was actually kind of more surprised was at the time that Netflix was trying to partner up with Nickelodeon, but then of course Paramount Plus came out, and of course they have all the Nickelodeon shows and basically like that. So I was like, so what's the point of partnering up with them? You know what I mean? If they're going to have their own streaming service regarding Nickelodeon and other like TV shows and stuff. So I don't know. But anyways, like the Disney Fox thing, there's just so much content that I honestly like, we're kind of talking about it a little bit, but
it was let me look at the number, a $71.3 billion merger.
I mean, that's insane. $71 billion. Okay. Right. Yeah. Good luck. Like, know what I mean? So like, think about it like Jeff Bezos. Okay. He's got what, 100, it might have been like 120, 100, maybe, I don't know, 150 billion, maybe. Sure, he can buy the company, no problem. I mean, as a whole, though, I just keep saying this, Matt. I mean, back in the day, John D. Rockefeller was a monopoly. Okay. Disney is now the new monopoly.
It's getting pretty, I mean, with what Disney owns, and we'll go over pretty much like, all of it, it's quite significant.
No, I know
what they have. And I mean, being able to have Disney Plus and, most of the stuff that you have on Disney Plus, although it's not all on Hulu.
No,
for the most part, like, if you go on Hulu, you can still watch Echo.
Right. And so like that was the one thing that they've done, was that whatever was on Hulu was kind of like swap between Disney Plus and that, and vice versa. So what I did find interesting, well, actually, sorry, this is kind of more of a side topic real quick, is I keep telling you this, Matt. So actually, you know what? I lied. There was something I did hear about, and this is just a really quick one. So I heard through a little digging through the internet here that Xbox apparently is going to have a press release regarding some of the ideas and things that they're going to be planning on moving forward. Their thought was, a lot of people's rumors and kind of philosophies on this was, they're thinking that they're going to stop making consoles and that they're going to really just rely on the Xbox Game Pass. Now, for Xbox, it's smart, or really Microsoft. Microsoft is smart about this because really they already have all the software and all this other stuff, and they already can rely on Game Pass, and they can still, work with the studios to release it. But what I find even more interesting is that if they do stop the Xbox consoles, this one's for you, Jordan. Like, you're literally now, it's not even going to be a competition anymore, right? Because now you're going to have Sony being the lead on consoles. They're going to, let's say, possibly have a cross-platform with Xbox typically. Now it won't, like crossplay will now become a thing if Xbox
You
is thinking
wouldn't.
about
I mean,
this.
I don't think you would have to call it a crossplay because
Well,
you would have to, whatever at that point, Microsoft or whatever they develop would no longer just be, either Xbox or PlayStation. They would have to release it for PlayStation.
So no, what I was saying is that they were possibly talking, if this is true, that basically Microsoft would find a way to talk with like Sony developers and stuff like that to have their Game Pass on the actual like PlayStation and or even on the Switch or something like that as well on different consoles or the Steam Deck or whatever it is, right? So what I find interesting is that if they do that, how is that really going to change, everything, right? Is like, is it going to like make a huge, gap between?
They would have to change it from Xbox to like Microsoft Game Pass or something. You know what I mean? Like,
right? No, I
change
agree.
the name of it from Xbox to being something else because you're not going to have Microsoft Game Pass on a Sony.
Right. No, I know, but like
platform.
I keep telling you this before is like I said this. I did state this in one of the episodes beforehand. Was imagine if Disney bought Sony. I kept saying that. I said because if Microsoft already has the Xbox and they already did that, granted they're only going to rely on Game Pass. What if literally Disney bought Sony? Okay, and I'm only saying this because I mean it's not like they probably couldn't because they'd get Spider-Man back. Another acquisition they could possibly get. But not only that, but then they'd also have PlayStation Studios, right? And all those like little other things and like Columbia Pictures and so many other things that come along with that as well.
It depends what you're buying from Sony because they do so much more than just that one thing.
No, right, but I'm just saying like if they bought like, let's say they bought Columbia Pictures, right? Or if they bought certain other things involving it, or even like Sony, like PlayStations and like the company itself, like so on and so forth. They started looking at the movies and the games and all that stuff. Imagine what they could do with that and what the platform would be on that thing. I'm just saying the backing behind that. I mean, you could have a lot more going on there. That I just think.
Yeah, I don't know if that would ever get truly approved. I mean, you're talking.
I mean, okay, but look at Microsoft buying Blizzard and Activision, together.
Yeah, you're talking. I mean, yeah, they're big gaming.
Yeah, big gaming companies. I get
companies,
that,
but it's you're not talking like.
But it was still going for billions of dollars. That's what I'm saying about Sony.
Yeah,
like Sony's a big. Again, Sony has done a lot, but I'm just saying in general. Like you look at the amount of what they've done, and then especially like the movies and in gaming and things like that. It's like. Think about it. The number one best-selling console of all time is the PS2.
If Disney really wanted to start making some real money,
what would you want?
Is buying the whole DC.
Oh God, no! Please don't. No. If anything, no. You do.
Could you imagine what they could do by taking by completely taking over DC?
Okay, listen. Do you realize?
I'm just saying, bro.
I'm gonna stay. Okay, now you're going to.
I'm just saying.
I was talking about gaming in general. You went into like another debate. What we should talk about.
I went into a whole nother dimension.
Yeah, I know you did. You went into like Elseworlds, baby. Like I don't know if but that will never happen. I highly doubt Disney will ever buy DC. Well, because no, they'd have to fight with Warner Brothers. Oh wait, and they'd have to buy them out too.
Well, they wouldn't have to buy all of Warner Brothers. We're talking about a failing DC film producing.
I mean, right, but then they'd have to have negotiations between them and Warner Brothers. That's the only thing.
You're talking DC Studios, right, who are in charge of making their movies,
right? But what I'm
owned by now Disney,
right? But I'm just saying Warner Brothers.
You know how awesome those DC movies would now become?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you for the third time now. Warner Brothers, I highly doubt would ever negotiate something like that. Because
at $71 billion merger with Vox, I'm sure you flash about $80 billion and people go, hey, maybe it's a possibility.
I get it, but I mean, you got to remember. I mean, realistically, we just would need to know exactly how much Disney is worth as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the movies that they've come out with. I mean, The Flash literally made. It's like bottom tier. Like you look at DC movies and The Flash is at the very bottom.
Oh, I wasn't talking about. I wasn't even talking
Blue
about
Beetle's the next one up there.
No. Right. I understand that. What I'm saying is I'm not talking about DC. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how much is Disney actually worth to really get a number on how much, if they were to even be close to buying something like that, like how much could they afford without having to go bankrupt? That's the problem.
I'm pretty sure Disney probably could buy Warner Brothers as a whole.
And they could probably buy Sony. I just keep telling you that. They could buy it, but they'd have to pick one or the other.
They probably could buy both of them.
It depends on how much they were offering.
When you're making Marvel movies that are making $1 billion a piece.
Well, it depends on which movies you're talking about, but yeah.
I mean, lately, no, they're not. But
no, I know. I get it.
Pre-Endgame, yes.
Yeah, pre-Endgame, yes. Pre-Endgame, it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. You're making these movies that are making about $1 billion. Like, yeah, you can afford to probably spend a little bit of money.
No, I know we went on a tangent, but I only say that because it's interesting because of, like I said, if Disney is like I said, is a monopoly, right? Because they're owning different companies. I mean, pretty soon, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney owned so much more. Like in the next 10, 20 years, like I wouldn't be surprised about how much mergers they would start to create. That's why I was saying about Sony and some of these other companies that are, they're doing really well. But what if they're like, okay, we had a partnership? What if we started like bringing them in and then, create something new? Because like I said, if PlayStation is still going and they're going to continue this.
I mean, honestly, I don't really think Disney is in a position to, if I was Disney, I wouldn't really be in a position to really buy anything when you have as many franchises as you have now, and you literally haven't done anything with them. Like I would honestly take a lot of these franchises and start planning the crap out of them. I mean,
no, but
you look at Planet of the Apes, which is one that they own now,
right?
The Mark Wahlberg series. I mean, even the ones after that. I mean, the one after that was okay, but it could be better than that.
No, so that's the thing, man, is like, even though Disney, sure, they own it, it's not like they don't have, let's say they have teams. Like they could still, like, even though Disney owns them, they could still say, hey, guess what? We're still going to keep you on. You're a Disney employee, but like, hey, this is your studio. This is what you're going to be working on. These are the series you're working on, whatever that is, right? And so on and so forth. That's what I'm saying about Disney is like, they can own them. They can do whatever they want. They can probably still have the same people that were still working at 20th Century Fox, but now they could just say, hey.
And see, this is the problem with Disney, because they would do this. They would buy Sony and they would say, hey, we're going to start working on these projects. And then this is why Disney is failing, because they're working on about 1,000 projects all at the same time, and they all suck at the same time.
Well, okay. So, but here's the thing though. So like, for example, right. So the PlayStation Studios, right. So like what they're now creating with Sony and so forth with the games and whatnot. Right. So like you look at The Last of Us and so on and so forth.
If that goes to Disney, it would suck.
No,
I'm telling you right now.
What I'm saying is if they bought them and that they still said, hey, you guys are going to control this. We're going to just.
That is not how it's going to go.
I'm just telling you
right now.
I'm just telling you, if they did that, then yes, it would make more sense. But I'm just saying,
that would make more sense for you and I.
For you and I, yes, I know. But
for Disney, that's not how it's going to go.
No, because they're going to be like, okay, we're going to. I'm like,
we're going to get our own people. We're going to put our own people in place.
Yeah, which is
we're
bullshit.
going to take over the project, and this is how it's going to go.
And then you're going to be like, listen, this is why you want to talk about,
And it's going to be like Halo, where he takes his helmet off every 10 seconds of the show.
Right, but okay. At the end of the day, I guess Disney's gonna make some decisions. I mean, who knows what kind of mergers they're gonna make, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, we don't know.
This one is it's a good one for Disney. I mean, they get a lot, and really, at the end of the day, when you look at this, it's really, what are they going to do with it? Because right now, I mean, this happened in 2019, and now it's 2024.
Right, so we haven't 5 years.
We haven't seen really. I mean, besides maybe Avatar.
No, you're right. Yeah. Avatar was really the only big one, which actually I didn't. So I thought in 2009. So that's why I kept saying I didn't realize I did not realize Avatar was literally owned by Fox. I really thought Disney created Avatar at the time.
No,
and I didn't think about that, but now that makes sense because now with the Way of the Water and the new ones and whatever,
I
didn't realize that. But so of course, X-Men, Wolverine.
So these are all 20th Century Fox, which when you maybe if you have like the original copy of these movies, you'll still see the,
Yeah, the
that
20th
original
Central,
opening.
yeah.
Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da.
Well, like
You'll see that opening, but in newer versions of these movies, you won't see that opening anymore. It's different.
well, yeah. I mean, like even some of the TV shows, like The Simpsons and so forth, like they had that as the beginning. But like like we've just mentioned, like X-Men, Wolverine, Fantastic Four, Deadpool, Planet of the Apes, Alien, Prometheus franchise.
What's not listed here is Predator. That's
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's separate.
Predator's in there too, which is not listed here.
X-Files, Star Wars trilogy, Futurama, Family Guy, American Dad, The Cleveland Show, Home Alone, Independence Day, Die Hard, The Sound of Music, Murder on the Orient Express. I didn't know that. So like you look at all these movies and you look at all the TV shows in between them. I mean, of course, like I said, Marvel definitely wanted to acquire the X-Men really universe as well as the Fantastic Four, so that way they could do more with it, and that's what their plan was, and that's hopefully what they're
Right.
still going to be doing. But
So all of those things that are, I mean, there might be more under that 20th Century Fox.
there's got to be a lot more. But like
Production company, but
Yeah.
all of those things that are under 20th Century Fox is what they own. So each one that we're reading is from a particular
like franchise or something like that.
thing that they own. So 20th Century Fox. The next one, I'll take this one since it's kind of short.
Well, hold on. So I was going to say the biggest thing, another big thing out of that too, was actually mentioned to me, which I didn't know this, was the Star Wars trilogy distribution rights.
Right.
Because if they didn't have those for the 4, 5, and 6 in this case,
Right, because even though Star Wars is under Disney, they didn't own the rights to distribute the original trilogy, which is 4, 5, and 6.
right? So without having to get this, they couldn't really do anything with 4, 5, and
They
6.
couldn't distribute. So once they acquired Fox, they were able to distribute.
Right, in that sense.
Which is kind of silly when you own the whole of Star Wars and you're like, well, we can't distribute these? What the heck?
No, I agree, but like that's I said, like that's an important piece out of that too. I mean, it's small, but most people don't think about that. You're like, oh yeah, I own the whole series, but I can't like say, oh, here's a copy of it because sorry, technically I have to ask Fox to be like, oh, can I? No, okay, so I guess I got to go screw myself. Like, what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. But go ahead.
And so the other one, one of the other smaller studios is Blue Sky, which is their, it's more of an animation studio. They did Horton Hears a Who, Ice Age, Robots. Is there really 5 Ice Ages?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I only remember like the first couple. Like after that, it was kind of like you're weird. Like, They just got a little weird out.
It's kind of like what is that like cartoon like?
It was the
Little
squirrel.
Dinosaur or
like
something like the. It's like a really older cartoon.
Really, what, the Land Before Time?
Land Before Time, yeah. They have like 7,000 of those different types of shows.
Oh my, no. So it's funny you mentioned that because I remember like there was only like 2 in the very. It was 90s. I'm just trying to remember what year, but like they had like 1 and 2, and then
like 7,000 movies of Land Before Time.
But they don't call
Time,
it
17.
No, I know, but they didn't. But some of it didn't. I don't know if it actually lined up because like I know they recreated it. I don't know if it was like a couple years ago or something like that. I did hear that they did one, and I'm like, for what reason? Like I don't. Why do I watch the original? Just keep the original and maybe the second one. You're good.
So yeah, Blue Sky Studios, Ferdinand. I don't know if I've ever watched Ferdinand, but the Peanuts movie, epic.
Oh, actually, hold on. You know who plays the bull, Ferdinand?
No,
I believe it's John Cena.
John Cena.
Hey, you can't see me. What time is now? No, I'm just kidding. No, but like robots.
You literally couldn't see me. You could just hear.
It's true. I mean, nobody can actually see us right now, but so like this studio, I mean, they made some. I mean, Rio. I didn't mind Rio as much. I mean, the Ice Age, of course, is not too bad.
I'm guessing that Blue Sky Studios were probably. I mean, at this point, they got it in 2019, so I'm assuming Blue Sky will probably just merge with their Pixar.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much you're not
studios, and
you're pretty much not going to see probably a lot of these movies like have a sequels or do really anything else with them at this point. Just maybe for distribution, but I'm
not big on animated movies. I mean, for the most part, like the kid ones, but I mean, Robots was kind of cool.
Well, I mean,
it
was also with who was it, Matt? Robin Williams back in the day.
Yeah, Robin Williams was.
Just saying. But like, so you got Fox, Searchlight. So that's another like studio that they
So
had.
this one was more of their, I would say like, serious. There was a lot more like drama, other than like, Super Troopers.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there.
But like, 28 weeks later, 127 hours,
The Shape of Water.
the shape of water. Water doesn't have a shape.
Clearly it does in this movie. 12 Years a Slave, of course, with Will Smith. Shame. I guess 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, which I've never heard of, but okay.
Never heard of that, but Vox. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure there's probably more than just what's on this list, but this is another one of those studios that's different from 20th Century Fox, but it's part of the acquisition,
right? And then, of course, National Geographic was kind of it's a nice one to have. So March the Penguin, Sea Monsters.
There's definitely more than just what's on this list, but National Geographic as a whole, I think before the acquisition was trying to get their own streaming service.
Yeah, I mean, Disney kind of, I guess for them, I think it kind of made a little bit more sense. Sure, they could have, had a bigger platform. I mean, that's kind of what they're doing now a little bit. I know they make some series from time to time, but like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, National Geographic. I mean, unless you're really an animal nerd, how many people do you know really?
There are some out there. I mean,
I'm just saying. You know what? Go for it, guys. If you want to do that, by all means. I don't want to sit there and watch basically a cheetah going after a gazelle, or like a lion trying to hump another lion, or a hippopotamus trying to attack or blow up in somebody's face.
I tell you one thing: if they ever played some of the like Snoop Dogg narrating animal videos, like that's where it's at, man. Those are hilarious.
Don't get me started on Snoop Dogg and his what is it, that TV that kids TV show that he created? I don't even want to go there. But I mean, these next couple ones.
FX Network, which if you have a Hulu subscription, like you've seen FX on Hulu, like. It's probably been part of Hulu since
from the beginning.
But once they acquired it, like it's probably one of the main parts of Hulu now, where Atlanta and Archer and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Sons of Anarchy, American Horror Story, Fargo. A lot of these like FX Network shows are all on there, and now they're all 100% Disney / Hulu. You'll never see them on Disney Plus.
No, but like, so for example, like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Sons of Anarchy.
That show is hilarious.
Oh, I was going to say Archer, like all these. So I would say Archer, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'd say How I Met Your Mother. Like those are your like comedy shows, things like that. And of course, Sons of Anarchy,
Atlanta's more of your, more serious.
Right, and Sons of Anarchy is pretty good if you like, the biker gangs and stuff like that. I mean, it's
more of your drama type. Legion, which is if you can get through if you can get through the weird and
listen. When you have the son of a doctor, Professor X, not doctor. I don't know what I was saying there. The fact that he's the son of him, and basically he is, we'll say in the comics, technically. He is one of the most powerful mutants, basically, and of course in the show. And he's trying to figure out who he is and all this other shit. I understand that. If you want to go through all that weirdness. But the problem that both Matt and I agree on, I know this for a fact, is that every time that Hulu creates a goddamn TV show regarding Marvel, they fuck it up. Plain and simple.
Well, and Legion is weird because it's like, you don't know if you're in his mind or another character's mind, or if you're in the real world. And there's not unless you're really paying attention and watching it and you're like, oh, you're in this person's mind. Oh, now you're in this. It's like, it jumps around so much that you're like, my brain's melted right now.
Well, no,
like, my brain's literally like pouring out of my ear.
Do you not agree with that statement though? Like every time Hulu's ever made a show regarding Marvel wise, they've always screwed it up in some ways.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like Hulu does not need to be making Marvel shows. That is just hands down. Like they just need to stop, and they should have just let Disney had the creative rights regarding that. I'm just saying it would have been a little bit different and maybe a little bit better if they actually did it the right way. Because they could have waited until Legion, once they established like the X-Men universe, Then they could have brought in maybe Legion later on and maybe brought them into like MCU or something like that. That's just me. Now they just screwed it up and now nobody's going to watch it. And they're going to be like, oh, let's just scrap it. Because that's what, right? They're just going to put it in the shelf somewhere and they're going to hide it. And they're going to be like, I don't even want to talk about this show anymore.
I mean, nobody is talking about it because you watch the first episode and you have no idea what the hell's going on because, like,
right. But
you don't know if you're in, it's such a weird show.
I already told you, man. There are just some shows that you literally, like we just talked about, you just kind of put on a shelf and then you just kind of say, you know what, let's just forget about it. Let's see if forgets about it.
This lies the problem with, with Legion in general, especially some of the other ones that we literally talked about before. They're not part of the MCU. So when you watch Legion or you watch some of these other shows and you watch, like, say, the Marvels that is now on Disney Plus,
which I will potentially watch at some point, but yeah.
It's not part of that continuity. So you're never going to see this character ever again in the MCU because it's not part of that continuity.
The only character that I know from Hulu that was on inside of the MCU was Black Bolt. The guy who played Black Bolt in the Inhumans in the Hulu show did come back to reprise his role.
There's one.
Right. But that was also because then he died in the movie. But I'm just saying, like, and
it wasn't probably even the same one. It probably was a different, like, multiverse.
No, it was the same actor. I did look it up.
It was the same actor, but all those guys were from different, dimensions and whatever. But you can explain it away, whatever.
I just the problem is though is that I agree. Like when you look at
great.
No, they're shit. They're absolutely shit. But anyways, the last one. So for like other Disney kind of like Fox. So I mentioned Kingdom Hearts, but like again, I honestly, like I told Matt, I did not know that Nightmare Before Christmas was not a Disney movie. I did not know that it was
actually
Fox.
isn't. Well, it is now, but it wasn't before. No, it wasn't under the Disney.
I did not know that. Yeah. I swore I thought it was Disney, but again, clearly I was wrong. I just didn't realize that it was never a Disney movie until now. So, okay. But like I said, it's news to me. But like, different movies that, we kind of talked about so far, with the 20th Century Fox, all this other stuff. I mean, we've talked about majority of these, but like some of the kind of bigger ones like, like Die Hard, Independence Day, Chronicles of Narnia, I mean, now it's considered Disney. And
it is
cool, but we'll see if maybe they do a TV show.
I don't know. They've done it now with Percy Jackson, and I mean, I've seen the show, and the show's pretty decent with what they're doing with it.
Yeah, so I mean, you could see different movies, or really, different movies or even TV shows on this list that you could see maybe a potential like TV show or something like that, or maybe a movie if they want to do that later on. But like, the one thing I will say, two things that I've just noticed, and you can mention some others. So Assassin's Creed, okay, plain and simple. If anything, Assassin's Creed, what Ubisoft, you know what? I'm going to say it. Ubisoft should make their own studios and create some of their own content because that's what it should have been. But no, I mean, granted, I don't want to talk about it, but Assassin's Creed, it was a terrible movie to begin with. And then Dragon Ball Z, okay, and then there's Tekken. There's all these different like fighting games, okay. I've been noticing more and more. So Dragon Ball Z, I've seen Tekken, I've seen all these, and of course Mortal Kombat and so on and so forth. But like, there's just certain ones that should never be a movie. They should at least make it a TV show and then see how well it does to maybe potentially make a movie. That's just me. Yeah,
and I'm wondering, I mean, it's kind of one of those funny things, like you see Dragon Ball Z, you see Assassin's Creed, but is it just the movie or is it the characters too?
It's both. I mean, the concept of what they're trying to do. I mean, it's sad. So like, I remember telling you about, was it Dead or Alive? Okay, it was an actual game, and then they made a movie about it, like being a really crappy video game adaptation. So again, it's another thing. Dragon Ball Z, granted, it was an animated, show, of course, and still is, and it still has been, but like you're taking the idea of what has been so great for literally decades, because Dragon Ball Z has been on for a long time, back in the 80s at least. And so, and then you're taking a game like let's say Tekken or Assassin's Creed or something like that. And granted, different concepts, different things. And they had literally the basis since they have already established those games. They have a story, they have all this stuff, but then they're like, we'll take the characters of the games, but then we're going to make again, ready? This is why people who don't read the comics or, have the source material, they don't know what basically the fuck they're talking about. And they just keep doing whatever. They just make a whole new concept and it makes no sense. And that's the problem.
I could see them creating a new story, and that's you see a lot of like I think they're on Netflix.
Which one?
The Resident Evil like animated.
Okay.
I think they're movies, and it could be shows, but I see those, and those are actually not bad for what they are. Okay. Granted, the second one that just came out, it probably came out maybe last year or earlier this year, but
yeah.
The animation isn't as good as the other one that came out before it, but the stories aren't like the games. They're very different, but when you see the character of Leon, like it's legit him, like it's the character, right. And that's what's true to the game. And that's where I don't understand, like when you have a video game, like I can understand that story might not be exactly what
I'm not saying
the game is, but like when you have to go and create we're talking about Resident Evil right now, but you create a Resident Evil game, and then you go, well, we're gonna have Leon right in this movie. He's gonna be the title character, that he's gonna be the one that's dealing with everything. But we don't really like his backstory.
I get what you're saying, man, but the problem is like and this is why I say this, The Last of Us really was the definition and is basically now
that's because they didn't make changes.
Well, the thing is, though, is that, yes, they stuck true to everything. And now I understand that for certain, games. And
I think there was micro changes that they've made to make the show good.
Right. But what I'm saying is, though, is that, when you look at a show like that and you look at, say, again, Resident Evil or, some of the movies that they've created, like we talked about the Assassin's Creed or Tekken or whatever, they have the source material. I'm not saying they have to stick true to the story of what, let's say, for example, Assassin's Creed. I understand there's a bunch of Assassin's Creed games and it's very hard to pick one and then, move forward from that. But you could literally, right? Like, again, they have the characters. At least take the same characters.
If you change everything, if you took and I think I'm using the word right, the mythos of each of
the backstory.
We're talking I'm talking Assassin's Creed now. Like you take the character, you take the whole scenario of why they're jumping them into the past, like the whole Assassin's Creed, the whole assassin group, like what they're doing, like that whole mythology of the game and the character. Regardless of, you can put them in Egypt, Pakistan, Georgia, for all I care. Like wherever you put this dude, the mythology and the mythos of the character, the Assassin Creed and the group should remain the same as what's in the games.
Or what they should do, just a thought here, if they think it's not movie worthy because there's so many games and so much content, then make a TV show. You know what I'm saying? Or make a movie later on in time and see where you could go with that when you would at least establish like a TV show or did something like that. Because and I keep mentioning to you, like, especially like, God of War or something like that, where they've had a lot of games. So anything that has a lot of history, okay, I would say make a TV show, see where you can go with that. And then maybe, you could have a movie if you can somehow tie it in.
You know what happens?
I know, it's shit.
You know what happens though? You get all these people that are making these shows, like give Assassin's Creed for instance. There's so many games and so much material. They go, okay, well, we have all these games, we have all this material. Why don't we include information from this one, but we'll take this information too, and then, well, this game has something cool that's like in here, and we'll just combine them into one story. And then that's where you get movies that don't make sense, because now you're jumping like
all over the place.
Because
because like literally for TV shows, so especially with Assassin's Creed or something like that, you could literally have 1 or 2 seasons based on a game. If you depending on like the story and like how long you make each episode, so on and so forth, even just a season, right? So let's say even 10 episodes,
Yeah.
you could make a whole story literally on 10 episodes and be like, here you go, and see
And
where that goes.
I do my fair share of complaining about Halo and Master Chief taking his damn helmet off every 30 seconds, but
Yeah, you do.
the one thing about this show that I do absolutely love is the mythology and all of the Easter eggs and the things that are in the show from the original games.
Well, I mean that's good. I'm glad that they're talking about it, but I agree that if you're going to have a character that really one never speaks as much. He occasionally talks. He'll say some things, but like
Yeah,
but like he's very kind of like in Mando again. That whole kind of persona. He's mysterious. He's kind of that thing. That's what Master Chief was. He was a mysterious guy. He didn't ever take off his helmet. He never once took off his helmet.
I think I probably could overlook it if the story, the mythology, and the writing's actually good. Like if everything else lines up except for him taking that damn helmet off, I probably could overlook that one fact as long as when I'm watching the show, I get really excited to see certain things that I remember in the games and going, dude, I remember doing that. Or I remember seeing this. Like I remember like having to, battle these things with the stupid laser hand sword things,
Oh yeah, yep.
But anyways, I mean, some of the things on this list, and I went all the way to the top of the list. Some of the things that are on the list are kind of shocking to me because it's like you look at, for Fox, it wouldn't be as shocking because you're like, oh yeah, well, it's Fox or any other studio, but you're kind of looking at it and you get towards the end of the list and you go, Porky's? Wait, Porky's? There's no way that Disney's going to do anything with Porky's because that's just it's really just kind of that like 80s raunchy kind of movie series that's probably never going to see the light of day ever again.
And that's probably a good thing because, again, Matt and I talked about it. I didn't understand it. I mean, it's probably a good thing that they don't because, I mean, again, when we talked about how, Deadpool, was one of those movies that we were still wondering if, they're going to, continue down that same path, especially when Fox, them making Deadpool, especially in the beginning, we were like, are they going to continue this with Deadpool 3? Because they already made 1 and 2 with Fox at the time. So it's like, is Disney going to create the same effect of what they've already done for the first 2? Because again, it was also, if I'm not mistaken, it was actually one of the highest grossing rated R films. I think it was it the first one or the second one? I can't remember which one. One of them definitely got above a certain rating, but anyways, like it was up there. Like it's been, it's one of the
supposed to be
ones.
A trailer in the Super Bowl, by the way.
I can't wait tomorrow.
It's tomorrow for us.
Well, tomorrow for us, and then somebody
you've probably already seen it because this episode is going to be waiting.
Anyways, but I hope it's great. I think what, it's amazing, guys. It's so great. I can't wait, to tell you guys about it.
But The Omen is on this list. Revenge of the Nerds. Like I love this movie when I was a kid watching it. I mean, there's a bunch of those. The Fly. I do remember watching The Fly. I mean, there's 1 and there's 2. Hot Shots, which was a Charlie Sheen movie.
Okay.
That was kind of in those, with Airplane, Spaceballs. Hot Shots was kind of the kind of dig at Rambo. It's kind of the parody of Rambo.
Okay. Yep.
Power Rangers, which I would assume is the newer one, and
then
Speed. Garfield, like we said, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. 28 days later, 28 weeks later. I've seen some things where they might be making a 28 months later.
Yeah,
which could be kind of interesting.
Maybe.
But I mean, most of these, Firefly, which is kind of an older show.
Yeah, I mean the
Alvin and the Chipmunks, which is kind of an older series.
I mean, they're not that old. I mean, they've been in the last I don't know, 10, 15 years probably, if I'm taking a guess. I mean, they've been around a little bit, but I mean, yeah, they revamped the story, but I don't know. I mean, I would say majority of this list, I mean,
I would say it's that. I mean, Alvin and the Chipmunks, as far as the movies, not the like the
no,
original
not the
show,
no,
and yeah,
no, none of that. But no, I mean, like a lot of these, like I said, like what we've talked about, a lot of these movies and in TV shows have, we can see some things happening, and then there's definitely ones that are just like,
but I think too
there you
they,
go.
with The Fly and some of these ones, like they get distribution rights and they get like whatever sales that you go into a store and you see Porky's and you buy it. That money now goes to Disney.
And that's if they even still sell it.
Oh, I'm sure somewhere sells.
What, Amazon? Because that's where you.
I mean, if you go on Amazon and put in Porky's, you're probably going to
giving money to Disney. Yeah, I know. But then, like some of the TV shows. So, like, I found it interesting that MASH was a part of the
MASH.
the TV shows. I mean, because I didn't realize that. Or like, what was it? Oh yeah, Prison Break. I
never watched Prison Break,
I
but
didn't either. I mean, a lot of the 24 was. Well, I don't think actually no. I don't think I watched that. I know it was supposed to be a good TV show. I know I watched Designated Survivor. It was the same dude that played in that show, but it was good.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
But, hey, I never really watched like the full 24 like show
because it was basically what it was like. It was just showing what he did in one day. It was like some events that were happening. It was all because it was like each season was based on one day. It was just like 30-minute increments of whatever he was doing.
Right.
I don't know.
X-Files, which, the original show, like I watched religiously, like it was a great show. And then, obviously they didn't do it anymore. And then they tried to revamp it. And I mean, it started okay, but I mean, it didn't have that same flavor, I think, as the original show did.
That's the problem with taking old shows like that. I mean, you have the nostalgia, you have all these things and you're like, oh, I really want to see that cool effect and this and that. But you clearly
I think, if they took the show and not tried to, not reboot it, but if they created a new concept for it and, brought in new actors, new concept, new story, new plot, like new everything.
Yeah.
I could see it working. But if you try to take the old X-Files show and just make it new, like they're trying to do with CSI. And a lot of these older shows, like they're trying to bring in like all of the older actors into the show, and they bring in newer people, and they quickly phase out the older ones, thinking like, "Hey, we're gonna instantly like these new people," and we're like, "We don't like them."
So no, I mean, so for example, like when you mentioned Quantum Leap, okay, I know it's kind of like a little off track, but like kind of on that same realm is like, you have a show like that where it's based on an older show, but they at least talk about some of the events that were going on in the past. Like that's okay.
It's
like,
linked to it's
still linked
to the older
to
show, yeah.
Right. And so like that's what they should be doing with a lot of these shows. Is like you can mention some of the older, events, or if there was something going on, if there was a character.
Yeah,
whatever.
and I could see them, talking about, and even having, obviously they're older now, so you'd have to maybe do flashbacks to older episodes.
Right. Which you
could do flashbacks to some of the stuff and still have newer content and newer kind of weird. I mean, it was like just a show on weird things like that were occurring, and strange phenomenon. So I could see it being something that would be, kind of cool.
I mean, there was a couple TV shows. I know one, and I don't even know if Vox technically owns it or not, but like, you remember that? Do you remember the movie Limitless?
Yes.
And then they made a TV show based on. It was kind of like
and I watched the TV show,
but it was stupid. It was like no, but what I mean was it was stupid as in they canceled it. I think it was did they do one, or I think it was only one season. I don't think they did a second one.
No, they didn't.
But I think they had like so many episodes. But I was so mad because once they said, oh, they're canceling it, they're not ever doing it again. I'm like, I don't know, but there's like concepts like that where you take the movie and it was great, and then you take a TV show like that and you were doing it, and then they're like, we're just going to cancel it. And I'm like, why is it that you have all these shit TV shows that last for seasons on end, but you won't take a show that could probably be great, but they're like,
there was a show, and this is like unrelated to this too,
sorry.
but and and I can't think of the name of it. But it was a really, really good show. It was a basically like this nuclear bomb goes off,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like people dealing with like the fallout of that and trying to figure out like what had happened. It was a really great show. And all of a sudden, like after the first season, they're like, yeah, it's canceled. And it like the show like literally left on a cliffhanger. And just fans of like the show were like, you can't leave us like this. Like,
Well, and that's
you left us on a cliffhanger, bro. Like,
that's the kind of bullshit that I'm talking about. Is like,
so I think they did like another season. Like, I think it had maybe 5 or 6 episodes in it to kind of finish it off. And then the creators were like, yeah, we're doing it as a comic book series. So they literally like finished out the story in comic book form.
oh no shit. I mean, at least they did something like that. But most TV shows that do that kind of stuff, they don't even leave you with anything. They're just like, all right, have fun, and then you have to make it up on your own. And
that was Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles. That was a show I watched too, and I rewatched it towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
Again, I thought it was a great show. I mean, it wasn't always like, oh, this is the best show on planet Earth right now. For what it was a good show. And then they leave it kind of on this like really high cliffhanger.
And then you're just like, well, why did you do that?
And they, it's like, wait, that's it?
Like that's all we get?
You're gonna leave it like this? No.
No, but that's what I mean. I mean, like that's just why I'm hoping that with Disney, I mean, granted, we've had a few years of them owning Fox and everything. I mean, they've done really well with like of course continuing with The Simpsons. I mean, God forbid. I mean, if you cancel that show anytime soon, God forbid, everyone's like, oh my God, But I mean, you look at other TV shows like, so for example, I always mention like the animated ones, but like the good Family Guy. You look at American Dad. I don't think is really even on anymore as much, but you look at some of the newer ones and stuff like that.
Right.
I just it's funny how they'll keep all the animated shows on for like what seems like forever, yeah. But like the main shows, the ones that you think, oh yeah, maybe I'll keep continuing. Now we'll do like a couple seasons or like a few seasons, and we're like, yeah, we're good. So I think with Disney, I'm hoping that they hope like when we were talking about like the Alien versus Predator or like Planet of the Apes or some of the bigger franchises and stuff like that. I mean, Die Hard at this point, I mean, I highly doubt they're ever going to make, a TV show or they're going to make, like, they're going to revamp. I mean, they could.
A TV show would be pretty cool though.
But they're not going to do it with Bruce Willis.
I mean, Bruce Willis can't even talk right now. So you're literally, unless you could AI Bruce Willis.
No, but you'd have to like, especially with like a lot of those series, like you'd have to really either do a TV show and like kind of, do certain things with it, or you can take some of the same concepts that you had before or really just revamp the story, because
right.
Like that's the big part of it. Cause like if you did Alien versus Predator, like we talked about a little while ago, you could do possibly a TV show or a movie if you wanted to revamp it a bit, but that's depending on what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, I know that they are already doing an Alien-based TV show,
right, show. But like, I'm just saying,
and they've done the movie Prey on Hulu, and I believe what I've heard is they're talking about making a second Prey for Predator. I mean, those are Predator movies. As far as a show, I think a Predator show would be kind of cool. And we talked about it in that Predator episode,
right?
Where it is kind of tough to have a non-speaking character like Predator as a title character,
right? So you'd have to have supporting.
You would have to have supporting cast, like in the Predators. I say Predators because the plural movie, which is different from the non-plural movie.
It's stupid, but yeah.
It's really stupid. Like, hey, we're going to make a movie. What are we calling it? Predators. Okay. And then another guy comes around. Hey, we're going to make a movie about Predator. What are we calling it? Predator. Cool.
But it's not the same one.
In Predators, that's kind of literally what it kind of unfolded was you kind of see more of like the Predator,
Right. I
that
mean,
movie, but the title characters were human. And I think if you kind of switched it to, the humans hunting predators, but you see predators kind of more like, I guess it would be more like Avatar, but it would be more of that like predator,
yeah, body type and right.
I keep saying the word mythos because I like the word, but it would be more of that like predator, landscape on their home planet, but you have, more of that like militaristic kind of commando art, unit
Yeah, no,
that's hunting them.
I get what you're saying. I mean,
But you can kind of see more of like what their customs are. Like that would be something cool to see like in a show.
like I said, it just depends on how.
It depends on how they do it and how well they do it. And that's like the same. You could say the same thing with Planet of the Apes.
Oh, I agree. That's why I'm saying Disney needs to.
Kingsman is definitely one of those like movies that I love. I love Kingsman.
I love it with a passion. I mean, honestly, I will say that when Merlin dies, man, take me home, country. I mean, literally, I cry, man.
So you love Kingsman, but you haven't seen John Wick. Come on, bro.
Come on, man, I love Kingsman. I'm sorry, but what do you mean it's not the same thing? It is not the same thing.
It's not the same thing, but
it's not the same
come on.
Thing. Fine, I will give it a shot. Okay, I will give it a shot for you. I've already told you that I will sit there and watch John Wick.
Alita Battle Angel is what it is, but
yeah. I mean, but like I said, I mean, depending on which movies and TV shows you're looking at, could I see it moving forward? Like, could I see Disney saying, "Hey, we're gonna, make a movie or a TV show on this"? Some of them, yes. Some of them, I'm like, you know what? You're right, man. You should just leave it on the shelf and just never look at it ever again. And just say, you know what? If you want to buy it, go ahead. Here's the distribution rights. Here you go, and you have fun with that.
I mean, maybe like distributing 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. But maybe not doing anything with it outside of, what's
honestly,
already been done.
Never heard of it. And I highly doubt anyone's heard of it unless they really are a fan of that movie. I don't know. Never heard.
Super Troopers? I could see that being an awesome like TV show.
They should have made it a long time ago. I mean, the fact that they made the second one, and it was all, technically it was funded by the fans.
It was fan fun. Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the very few movies that did that. And then they did it. And then, of course, what was it? Tacoma FD is kind of funny because they have some of those.
Right Meow?
Yeah, Right Meow. No, so what's funny is some of the old characters from Super Troopers were actually in Tacoma FD.
Right.
So I don't know if you like that kind of stuff. But anyways, all right, guys, I think we've really kind of hit this on the head there, man. I mean, with Disney and Fox, I mean, I'm hoping that with, Disney moving forward that, yes, they should definitely work on a lot of their stuff that, Fox has created over the years. But I'm hoping that really, maybe moving forward, like I said, they can work on all this stuff. But, who knows what kind of mergers they may have in the future? Who knows if it's Sony? Who knows if it's, some other things? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more, movies that they've acquired than what we've talked about.
Oh,
so if you really want to know a list of movies, just look it up because it literally probably would take us another 2 hours to go over the entire list of movies that they've acquired through 20th Century Fox and Searchlight and
right. But my point is, guys, if you really want to do their own research, by all means, we just kind of gave you a generalized hey,
those are kind of the bigger ones. I mean, there's so many smaller
movies and franchises maybe that, you guys may know and, you could let us know because I don't know. There was a lot of TV shows and movies that I was like, no way. I had no idea that Fox owned that. Like even a video game, for God's sakes. I had no idea that they owned a video game, which was unheard of for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, we appreciate it. We love everything you guys been doing. We're hoping that you guys will continue to follow us and share that like button and do all that fun stuff because I tell you what, 2 dudes talking on a mic only goes so far. Just saying.
Well, it's not 2 dudes on 1 mic. Just to clarify.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, not 2 dudes. Sorry, not on 1 mic. No, it's 2 dudes on 2 different mics.
Yeah. We're on 2 different mics. We're not talking on those.
We're further apart from the table, so we're good. But anyways, guys, I hope you have a good night. And until next time,
stay geeky.